Earlier this month, Australia took the leap and banned TikTok from all government-provided devices in fear that China may be using the app to spy on officials. Every country a part of Five Eyes, an intelligence sharing alliance, has now put some sort of legislative ban on TikTok, with Australia being the last to do so. But now that we're finally here, was it the right step forward to protecting our data?
The key to this is having platform-neutral regulation. So not trying to knock one app after the other on the head like an endless game of digital whack-a-mole, but having a set of principles that can be applied by a well-resourced regulator that work across platforms. They're puffing their chest up and saying they're protecting Australia, but literally they're throwing 3 million young Australians to the digital wolves.
Principal regulation for data privacy has been a hot topic of international discussion as of late. We've already seen Europe advance their data security by implementing data collection minimization, setting up onshore data storage, and we've seen France not just ban TikTok on government devices, but all potentially dangerous data collecting apps from Twitter to Candy Crush. The US is also considering a similar route, threatening TikTok's parent company ByteDance that they will implement a nationwide ban of the app if they do not divest ties with their Chinese Communist Party. How Australia will advance its data legislation is currently up in the air, but cybersecurity expert Nigel Fair has an idea of where it should go.
Banning anything online doesn't work. That's the one thing we do know. So that's not the policy outcome we want. I think it needs to be put into context that, TikTok, along with all the other social media apps, are digital entertainment platforms. And they all collect around about the same information. If you look at them technically under the hood, they all do about the same thing.
So if other apps are also collecting data en masse, and principal regulation is a more effective way to protect our data, why is it that TikTok was singled out?
I don't doubt that TikTok feels like they were singled out for political reasons. And the reason is they were singled out for political reasons.
And yes, this may be true. However, there was a reason why this app was singled out other than its geolocation. A security review assessment was conducted by Australia's Department of Home Affairs that deemed the app a risk to national security, which was approved by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
I'm very unpersuaded by this argument that we shouldn't deal with what are the largest and most serious espionage and cybersecurity threats like TikTok, because we might one day develop a coherent, cohesive policy which deals with all of the threats. Of course, we have to do both, but while we're working on those broader, more complex solutions, we have to determine what are the actions we can take today that protect our users. And it was very appropriate to take a ban on TikTok from government devices today, while still simultaneously developing those broader solutions.
Despite the disagreement on how effective Australia's TikTok ban is, there is common ground found among politicians in creating a plan to go forward to ensure principal regulation is developed. And they seem to be looking overseas for our best case studies.
So we could look to what the Europeans have been doing in terms of embedding privacy principles and data minimisation across the board. We could look to there and then start with that and improve upon it. Because we should acknowledge as well that these platforms are operating globally. And it can be very hard for a single jurisdiction to just unilaterally impose solutions. Working cooperatively with Europe is, I think, the starting point.
Yeah, there's 3 live options in the United States to potentially solve this problem. One is what the company is calling Project Texas, which is about assuring Americans that their data is stored onshore. Another is forcing ByteDance to divest TikTok to sever that link with the Chinese Communist Party. And the final is banning TikTok if those other strategies don't work. I think Australia needs to be part of the conversation of all 3 of those strategies to determine which, if any of them, are appropriate for us. And if the Americans do solve the problem, we have to make sure that that solution applies to Australians as well. I don't want us to be carved out of that. And so that does require leadership from the Albanese government. They need to be involved in those conversations with our American counterparts.
It's a lot to take in, and although a first official public hearing is taking place this week for Australia's first steps forward, there will probably still be some time in between until proper principal regulation policy is implemented. Historically, the government hasn't had the best reputation with protecting Australians' data. From foreign hacks into Medicare to Service New South Wales accidentally revealing thousands of Australians' personal information, there have been a few fumbles when it comes to protecting our data. Which begs the question, are we able to trust in our government for privacy protection?
We've got a lot of work to do as a country in this space. We've made some good progress, but unfortunately the threat keeps evolving as well, and we have to evolve with it to make sure that our defences are adequate against the challenge that we face.
So what about you? Is there a serious security risk for your data to get into the wrong hands while the government gets its policies together?
So that data is still able to be accessed at
Every
at
Australian
will,
should be concerned
manipulated,
about their
used for
exposure
commercial
to applications
exploitation.
like TikTok,
What does it
because
mean
every
to
Australian is
give up
giving
some
their
of
data
their
parts to
data
buy this
to
company,
use those
and it is
they're
ultimately
puffing their
beholden
heads
to
out
the
saying they're
Republican
protecting
Party
Australians.
and authoritarian regime.
So yeah, there are some real concerns about data privacy in Australia. Where those concerns lie depend on who you are and who you ask. Data can be used not only as a propaganda spreading machine from foreign governments, but can also be used by businesses to target you commercially, or by hackers to potentially leave you vulnerable for digital theft. Luckily, there are a few simple ways to secure your data that don't necessarily involve purging all your favorite apps from your phone.
Well, the best thing they can do is secure their actual mobile device. So that means implementing facial recognition, or if it's an older device, the fingerprint recognition. The next thing is securing the apps on there and looking at the permissions you give apps to the device, and then also looking at the privacy settings and locking those down. And then the next step is thinking about the things that you post online. Be wary about things in the background that might identify who you are or your family or your work colleagues. Then also be wary of the websites you go to, the places that you put in personal information, that you allow access to your device. They're all the things that people can do as a first step.
Online tech is developing faster than we can legislate. And with the government debating the best way to move forward, it's up to you to ensure you're protecting yourself in the meantime. Take some time to read an app's privacy agreement, or think twice about what you put up on your next post update. Because remember, it's not just your data you're sharing, it's you.